Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are going to start the first of 6 videos going over the various job classes in Harvestella. You can see that as of today I haven't unlocked all of them, I'm still missing one. But today we're going to cover the basics as well as the first 2 classes that you unlock, the Fighter and the Mage. So first off, basics. You're going to unlock 10 of these 12 classes throughout the course of the story just by playing, most of them by recruiting new members to your party. However, there's a few that are different. We'll get to those later on. For example, Fighter and Mage today are 2 unusual ones. You don't have those tied to party members, but you get those at the start of the story. A little bit of things to notice. You can kind of see how there's different, we'll call them spokes or hubs to the various things. So like you can see my samurai here doesn't have anything fancy to it. My mechanic is a little bit better, and then most of the others are full-on fancy. That is a way for you to determine how many panels, essentially, or tiers that you unlocked. So, for example, Samurai, you only have... I've only got these. I only just unlocked this my last playthrough. Whereas, Fighter, one we're going to cover today, I have everything unlocked. The fanciness on that will show, hey, you've unlocked your first 4 here, you've unlocked, this second set, or your 3rd tier. So that's kind of a shorthand way of saying, okay, well, what classes do I need to look at or to work on if you want to max out everything? So most of these classes are going to have very similar stuff going on in them. For example, a lot of these classes are going to have Step as an ability, which is how you do that little dash at the start of a run. Though most of them will have a shortened job change cooldown, most will have some variation of enhancing your normal attack, and so on. So most of what we're going to talk about today is, and over the course of this series, are what is unique to each of the various job classes, as well as, what they bring to other classes. As you can see from the right here, I have 2 different cross-job passive skills. When you have this job class equipped, so for example, I've got Mage, Fighter, and Shadow Walker, even if I switch over to Shadow Walker or Mage, I'm going to be getting those benefits for the less physical damage and food effectiveness from having Fighter equipped. So that's one thing we're going to keep in mind, but we're also going to look at what the various skills are and so on. So we're going to start, for the most part, going these in order of how you get them throughout the story. There's going to be one exception, and that's going to be the Assault Savant, for 2 reasons. One, we're doing 2 classes per video, and that one doesn't really have pairs well with another class very well, but it does have one that is also a loose one, so we'll put those together. And 2, the Assault Savant, while it is one of the earliest that you unlock, is also probably the last one, with the potential exception of the 2, hidden ones, that you will fully unlock. It doesn't matter how much you play it. It's based on your 3rd tier unlock. For to unlock 4 panels, unlock 8 panels. Most classes will have, on that last one, will have get level 6 closeness with the character that's associated with that class, or in the case of Fighter and Mage, get the Echo Stone. Assault Savant, because Arya is story-based, you won't get that until very, very, very late game to get her closeness to level 6. So, how did we unlock these? You start, when you get a class, you'll have just this first tier, like this tree here. Once you've unlocked 4 of these, you'll unlock the second tree. And as we were just saying, once you've unlocked 8 panels across both of these first 2 trees, and you have either the Echo Stone or the closeness at 6 with the associated character, you'll unlock this final tree. And the way that these trees work is, in your first tree, you're going to have your very first abilities that you're going to get. You'll have a few passive things. You'll unlock an improvement to that first ability, as well as your first tier of your second ability. Once you unlock your second tree, you'll get your 3rd ability, plus upgrades to your second ability and your 3rd ability. Plus, that's where you'll get your first cross-class passive. It'll be one of these circular ones. So in this case, it's reducing physical damage by 20%. And then as you unlock your third tree, that's when you get your third tier for a couple of your abilities, all three of your core abilities, plus your one single tier for your fourth ability for the class. Fighter and Mage are a little bit different than the other classes because you don't have a character to get close to level 6 on those. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to find on your farm, right at the beginning, you're going to find a section that has a level 2 bombable wall. And as you progress through Chapter 3 and unlock the cave biome, you'll find one that also has a door for repair level 2. Behind each of those obstacles, once you get the respective bomb and repair kit, you will find one of the Echo Stones for Fighter and Mage. I believe the repair kit is the Fighter and the bomb is the Mage. And that's how you'll unlock these. So it's possible that you'll have Tier 3 on some other classes before you get these, because you won't be able to make those repair kits or bombs until pretty late in Chapter... Well, the repair kit's earlier, the bomb's late in Chapter 6. So, what do these classes provide for you? Well, Fighter is your default class. It is the one you start with. And it's your basic, melee range, physical class. But it's not a bad class. It's actually it's probably going to be one of the first ones you max out if once you get the Echo Stone. But it's a good class. It's got a good mix of single target and group. Its default for your just normal attack is using slash element. So enemies that are weak to slash element, such as all the various gels that you'll find throughout the game, it's a great class for that. It also deals fire damage with 2 of its additional attacks, which we'll go over here momentarily. I'm going to fight a fear to demonstrate some of these. So, Fighter, first off, you're going to get Blaze. This is a slash and fire damage. It's not a single target specifically. But it's also not a large area. It is creating a small circular area right in front of you where you'll do damage. If you've got enemies that are close together on you, you can hit multiple enemies with that. And to demonstrate that one, we're going to come over here and fight this fear over here. We're in the Yord Steppe, just to demonstrate all these things. So, first ability, here we go, is Blaze. Boom, just like that. Small area on it. Your next class, or your next ability in here, as you progress, you'll of course unlock Step. This is, like I said, it's your dash attack. You'll have your job change cooldown, and you'll also get Blaze 2, which will increase the damage. But you'll also get Crescent Slash. This is a wide area spin of slashing damage, which is great if you're surrounded by enemies. So that would be this one. You saw that was the first one I could activate, the one on the left. As you unlock Tier 2, you'll have access to Flame Tongue. This is, again, a slashing and fire attack, but this one also has an additional effect of basically creating a burning damage over time effect on them. So this is great as if you got enemies that are weak to fire to really start them up. You saw how much damage that did. And then finally, once you've unlocked everything, or also in Tier 2 here, you'll have increased fire damage, which is your class-specific one. So your various fire attacks will do that. But your cross-class, this will be your first of the 2 cross-classes, which is reducing physical damage by 20%. Which means that when you have the fighter equipped, you're going to be a lot tankier to a lot of enemies. And this is going to be a common one across a lot of the physical classes. Finally, when you hit Tier 3, you're going to have a raised food item effect, which is going to work kind of akin to if you've done the little picnic date thing at the save points with your party members, where it raises the your effect to your food items. That's going to happen with that. It's one of the interesting things with the fighter is it makes your food items last that more, because your 4th ability, Enlightened Dawn, also creates a buff for that, which enhances the meal effects. And it's also a slash damage thing, and we are going to demonstrate that one. Let's see, right now. Bam. And we'll just kill that. For those who didn't know, if you kill a fear, you get accessories. And that is the fighter class. So, we'll move over here closer to this other one. And we will demonstrate the mage class now. Your mage class, you're going to unlock about halfway through chapter 2. It is, you can't miss it. You're going to have your first boss fight. And then shortly after, you're going to encounter your first enemy, one of those crab shell looking enemies. And it'll be like, oh, this is going to be resistant to your physical attacks, maybe magic, and you learn the mage class. Your mage's default attack element for your normal passive attacks is frost, I believe it's called. It's either frost or let's take a look. It's not water. Ice. They call it ice. So it's going to be a single target, but it's going to be enough that it's a very small area, smaller even than the first like Blaze did on the fighter. But if you have enemies stacked together, you can't, or really close to each other, you can hit multiple enemies with that passive attack. Your first ability you're going to unlock is called Electro. It is, you're just going to call a single target, lightning damage right on him. So we'll demonstrate that on this guy, who is weak to it. It's a little bit passed up. There you go. So, that's what that does. Your next ability, or your first passive in there is, that's going to help destroy break gauge. So if you have enemies that are weak to your ice or your electric or whatever your attacks you're doing as mage, you're going to do the break gauge faster on those, which is great on bosses. Speaking of ice, your second ability is freezing. It's a centered on the target ability, which is very much similar to your base attack. It's a little bit longer charge up, but it's better damage, a little bit wider range. So we'll demonstrate that right here. Charge up, bam. A little bit wider range than, say, your passive, which is that. You can see the difference in size on those. So, and of course, as you get through, you'll get Electro too, and enhancing normal attack. At Tier 2, you'll unlock Bolt Impulse. This is a mix of crushing and lightning damage. This is the first time you're going to see a third element on a class. And it'll knock back enemies, as it says, but it's actually a pretty wide area, but it's also very point blank, which is unusual for this class. Most of the things for the mage class are very much ranged, very much, magical. But this is one you're going to have to be up close to them. So, let's demonstrate here. We're getting near to one of the fears. You'll notice I can target my 4th tier class there on the right a lot earlier than I can do this one. So I gotta be pretty close up. But it's a good sized radius. In here, you're also going to get your first, let's see, what was the 20% less magic damage. So this is your tanky one right here. It is going to be your first cross-class skill. Whereas your other passive over here is going to be just increasing your ice damage. In Tier 3, you're going to unlock Absolute Blitz, which is our final ability. It's, ice and lightning, centered on the target again. We're going to see this. This is going to be the first time I've seen this. As you can see, I haven't completed this class. But our secondary cross-class passive is going to be a 20% boost to magic damage, which means that this is going to be a class that is great to equip with other magic-based classes like Pilgrim and Woglinda. So, now we're up close. We got this. And boom, you can see a very large radius there for your damage, and it does a good chunk of damage on this thing. Let's kill it off. There's our break, because, again, we do good break damage. And that is it. That is the Fighter and Mage classes. Just a quick short one this week. We're just kind of getting through the details. You don't have any characters that have these classes, so I won't talk about that this week. But in other weeks, to make up the difference of speaking in the basics, I'll talk a little bit about what each of those characters brings to your party. So, it's just quick, short little things. And as I go through the next couple weeks, I'm going to try to max out all these classes as best I can. You can see I only just unlocked Samurai. I haven't unlocked the, I think it's called Aristotle or something here. And my mechanic is woefully inadequate because I just don't use it very much. But we will definitely have all of these upgraded as we get to the videos. So over the next week, it's going to be me covering Shadow Walker and Skylancer, which you can see my Skylancer's kind of lacking as well. But we will get through all of these and get them up to demonstrate all of the various abilities to you guys. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, let me know any questions you have about these classes, and I will catch you again next week. See ya!